The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Hello and welcome to The More Show. I'm your host Kevin Moore, and for the next hour I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. Now on today's show I'm about to be joined with my guest Luke Alder. Now Luke is an intuitive and compassionate healer and teacher who guides people towards their hearts. Now he helps people uncover and translate their experience of love into meaningful actions that make a difference in the world. Now Luke has a gift of placing his attention on different aspects of your mind, body and spirit for you to awaken to what's not working and to allow love to facilitate healing. With over 20 years of meditative experience, he is a gifted teacher of various healing and spiritual practices for the novice and advanced practitioner. Luke Alder, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. It's awesome that we're connecting, and we're now spanning the globe here to make this happen.
Yeah, I know, right? I know, and we tried this a few times, and but now we've got you on, and I'm grateful to have you on, Luke. Most definitely. So we're going to get into some of your background as well, but just go straight into this question, really. What is the book about, Born to Heal?
The book is about taking responsibility for your health and wellness by learning to pay attention to your body, to your feelings, to the signs that your body's giving you that aren't just about your ill health, but about how you're really doing as a human being, as a spiritual being, how you're evolving through life. And really the book depicts how various systems and symptoms show breakdown as we're maybe not as in touch with where we need to be and what we need to be doing in life. I've been touring the book for four or 5 months now. And I've had people say this is the best book on healing they've ever read, which is kind of unbelievable to hear someone say that about the book that I wrote. And I really poured my heart into it. I told the truth about my life and the lives of the people that I serve in my practice, and really just gave an honest, kind of full disclosure of what it takes to heal, kind of the grittiness of it, the willingness to look at our own uncomfortable truths and feelings, and heal them by shining light on them and feeling them, and learning to love or give love to those parts of ourselves that we try to hide from ourselves.
Wow, there's a lot you've said there. I wish I had some way of just taking some notes there. I'm literally unable to do that currently right now because everything you said there leads off into so many other threads.
I know.
Okay, well, how did you get into this line of work? Because it says in the introduction, I'm sure I read it off in the introduction, that you have over 20 years of meditation experience and is a gifted teacher of various healing and spiritual practices. So what spiritual practices and what healing practices?
Yeah, I was exposed to, I guess I was born, my mom was Christian, Protestant, my dad was Jewish. They were both meditators in the 70s, transcendental meditation. And they raised me the first, part of my childhood and going to church, and then moved closer to Los Angeles, and I started going to Jewish temple. And then they started, I was like 13, and they took me and my siblings to a meditation. It wasn't a TM center. It was a meditation center in in Santa Monica in Los Angeles. And I started meditating. I started to chant. I started to, do these spiritual practices, these spiritual technologies at a young age. And they started to open me up. They started to awaken parts of me that I hadn't experienced yet. And we all call these kind of things spiritual experiences, or experiences of the soul, or something beyond the body, the mind, and the emotions. And so 13 years old, I was pretty young for that experience to unfold. And then it just kind of exploded, really. It was like the first experience was this explosion of energy and light and love and healing. And, I'm 13, so I still had to finish high school. And, as my awakening developed, I still had to go through these very typical stages of life that many of us go through, and navigating, dating girls and some drugs and alcohol, and getting into college. And the seed that was planted was this desire to help other people awaken and help other people know who they are, and know why they're here, and live their lives from a place of real alignment with their most high purpose in life, which to me is to serve and to bring love and inclusion and a sense of brotherhood and sisterhood and family to this world. So meditation, breath work, chanting, and medicine seemed like a good fit for me to be able to share those things in a way that gave me some credibility. And so far it's been a bet that's paid off. I have a great community here in the Northwest that's growing, and people that been teaching to meditate, to do breath work, to do cleanses, to take care of themselves, and to ultimately to make a difference in their lives, the lives of their family, and the world.
Okay, so what are you actually using then to heal people? So if someone comes to you with but actually before I ask that, let me ask something else. The attraction for this type of book and this material, is it only going to attract someone that's got some sort of illness in the moment now, in a sense?
No, it's not. I mean, really, I contextualize the book in terms of the organ systems, and I wanted to make it physical so people could go, oh, I got it. Like my sinus issues are related to my lungs, or my menstrual cramps are related to my reproductive system, including the kidneys. My digestive issues are related to the health of my spleen and stomach and intestines. So that's just an entry point. The book's really more about cultivating your awareness and learning how to pay attention to yourself. And really, prior to physical kind of symptoms are these other messages, which we call feelings. And the teaching of the book is to really pay attention to your emotions, to your feelings, as messengers or harbingers of your soul. That your soul, which is connected to the universe, to God, to love, to whatever you call that, is telling you something through your feelings. And then if we really look at what feelings are, they're just sensations in the body. They're physical things that you feel, and then we interpret and we call anger, sadness, worry, fear, anxiety, depression. So we name them, then we create a narrative about why we feel them. And sometimes that narrative helps us to feel and resolve the feelings, but most often the narrative that we create actually are in opposition to the feelings that we have. And when we oppose how we feel, we actually we deny what's true for us. We suppress, is the word I use, the message that we're getting from our soul via the universe. So when we do that, when we suppress our feelings, that feeling, because the feeling is physical, it's a sensation. When we say, no, I don't want to feel that tightness. And here in the United States and all over the world, there's a lot of people feeling all kinds of things with this election that is wrapping up right now. And if we don't allow ourselves to feel what we feel, then those sensations will stagnate. They will create stasis in the body. They will create tightness in the neck. They will create inflammation in the GI tract. They will create stagnation in the menstrual cycle. They will inflame the immune system. So the book is at once an intuitive. I mean, it's not necessarily even intuitive. It's just learning to pay attention to these more subtle experiences that we have in the body. That, quite honestly, most people aren't willing to feel anger, sadness, worry. People will feel that one, and definitely people try to avoid feeling fear. So there's these major feelings that we have that in most of society we relegate to very extreme instances like death, divorce, and other forms of loss. But of course, during our days, we experience all of these. We experience sadness, anger, fear, worry, anxiety, and the nature of each one of these feelings is that there's a beginning to them, which for most of us is the scariest part, and it's actually the anticipation to the feeling that we resist the most. And so we don't feel it. But if we're willing to feel just the beginning of it, then we kind of move into the middle ground of that feeling of the sadness. And then if we're willing to just let it flow through us like a river, then we get to the end of it and it's gone and it's done and we're complete with that emotion.
Okay, so what you're saying there is that if we don't allow these feelings to be processed and transformed by ourselves, shall we say that, right, then it causes a lot of side effects of health. And that's what this book is all about, in the sense is rebalancing that out again and getting you back onto into health, a healthy body. But the reason you personify the feeling so much, and it's so this book is two separate subjects in one sense, but all leading to the same path of healing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's probably where I was like, well, I'm not getting it, but I get it now. Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And that's why I just let you talk there as well, because I just you got to that point, and that was great. And I'm sure, when I looked at the book titles, silly enough, I thought, oh, this will be good for healers that are looking to get into healing. But then again, it would be that kind of book as well. If someone's got an interest in becoming a healer, this would also help them on their path.
Well, I mean, the idea really is that we're all healers. We all carry a certain state, a certain frequency of energy, and wherever we go, we share that. So as we gain the capacity to gain, comfort with, oh, here comes anger. Let me feel my anger. Let me express my anger. Here comes sadness. Let me feel it and express it. We provide that expanded level of space for other people to feel safe, to acknowledge how they feel, and so. It's for professional healers, but it's also saying that we're all healers, and that we give each other permission to heal by virtue of our own progress on the path of healing and growing as a human being.
Okay, so what really got you into this work then? Yes, your parents influenced you, but what was your aha moment when you was like, this is what I'm born to do, born to be a healer?
There was an experience when I was 15, and I was in a meditation ashram in upstate New York, and meditating, and had this really powerful experience in meditation where, it's very esoteric. I had this sense of my heart opening and this incredible warmth and love moving through my body. But the culmination of the experience was this overpowering sense of myself as this really beautiful, extraordinary being. That I was really this extension of the divine, and I had this thought that just rang through my mind for hours and days, which was, do people know how beautiful they are? And really, what I was meaning was, I don't think people know how beautiful they are, because the world we live in is not reflective of that. So it was really at that moment at 15, I was like, my life is now about finding a way to create an environment for people to experience the depth of their beauty and power and magnificence. So it's kind of as a classical experience, spiritual experience in one sense, and then another, at 15 to have an experience like that, it really set the course of my life. I didn't know how I was going to do that, but I knew that was my mission, and that in every part of my life, from romantic relationships to diet to school to career, that was really the filter I was looking through. Is this going to help me create an environment where people can know who they are, or is this not? And that was something that was just instantly clear in any direction that I pointed myself towards. It was a clear yes or a clear no, and my life just continues to be barometered, to turn that into a verb, by that feeling. Does this decision, is it creating more beauty and light, or is it not? So
okay, no, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
No, that's beautiful, I'm sure that answer changes sometimes as you remember bits of why you got into this. I'm sure it's always the journey is always unfolding. I bet it is. And also, what do you run right now in the sense of a place where people can come and get healing from yourself? Is that done? Can that be done remotely, or do you need to have people in person with you?
I have a clinic here in Oregon, and I see people Monday through Friday, and I do acupuncture, I do breathwork, I teach them to meditate, I put them on cleanses, I put them on nutrition and nutraceutical herbal regimes, and I have some other Chinese medical practitioners working there, and then I do Skype sessions with people where we'll take them through breath work, and using the breath is a really powerful way to help get the mind out of the driver's seat and the heart to kind of take the lead. So yeah, I work with people via Skype or whatever platform.
Excellent. So you can. So you do. So there is the option to have international clients as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And just remind us of your website again for those listening on a podcast.
It's lukeadlerhealing.com.
Okay, well that's coming on the screen. It will continue to come up on the screen, and with your book as well. Now, obviously, when I've come across healers, I've been into spiritual churches where people give healing sessions. They place their hands on you, and you've obviously gone there for a reason. So, depending what it is, for me, I was weight training. I had a bad neck, and someone recommended I went there, and it was a beautiful experience. I mean, they put their hands on you. There's these warm hands of this energy. You can just feel it. And after the session of just doing whatever they're doing, and concentrating on the healing that the healer is, whilst with you. It did work. Have you come across that type of healing? Do you embrace any of that type of stuff?
Yeah, I have some dear friends that do that kind of work. I don't do healing like that per se. My work is more about, it probably happens more through my word and creating a certain environment with word, and then, as I'm sensing things in people's bodies, speaking to them. And really my goal is to teach people to own the tools to heal themselves. So, seeing a healer that can, send some kind of energy through your body and alleviate some pain is, it's kind of amazing. It's kind of miraculous in some ways. But my interest is in more teaching you to do that to yourself, so that you, can heal yourself. You can have that capacity, and rather than, somewhat seek me out to do that for you, which I think is fine. I'm not critiquing it, but I really believe anyone can heal themselves if they start to learn how to, pay attention to, what's not working, and gain some awareness around it.
And we're going to get into that as well. Just before we do, was there anyone or any organizations that really influenced you? I'm just thinking of the Edgar Cayce readings, where he recommended a lot of herbal remedies for people, and those readings are still available from the Cayce Center. Did you ever come across that? Has that influenced you? Has anything else influenced you?
I mean, my meditation background is really in Hindu mysticism, so it's like the gurus that came over to the United States in the 60s and 70s. A lot of them were friends and connected, and my parents were involved with those movements, and they've become kind of guiding, really contextualizing my experience of spirituality and meditation. And as I've taken it on, over the last almost 25 years now, it's really become my own experience of going inside and discovering these spaces for myself. And then as far as some of the more specific approaches to healing, I practice Chinese medicine, so I work with some of my mentors are like the most kind of well-known contemporary teachers of Chinese medicine that are alive right now, that are mostly aligned with classical medicine, which is the way that it was practiced several thousand years ago. So it's kind of ritualistic based. It's, kind of in the realm of high levels of intentionality, and kind of like the secret methods to healing, I think, is something that I practice and study.
Well, that's interesting. So it's a completely different. So you're not really. Okay. Well, that's just a completely different take on it, and that's really, really important as well, because it's something different. I bet your parents were very happy with the direction you went in, or were they? Did they see that?
Yeah, I mean, they. I'm a parent now, and I can see these tendencies in my daughter, and I go, okay, my parents must have seen all of this, in me. They were guiding me this way my whole life. They're like, you should be an acupuncturist, a chiropractor. You should be an MD. They're like exposing me to healers, and I suppose as parents we see these things in our children and go,
I guess so.
Okay, this is where they need to go over here. I mean, if the parent is aware,
Well, well, that's my brother's quite a spiritual chap, and I think his daughter's she's going to be she is quite spiritual, and I think you do notice it in your kids, and that's nice for you to be able to guide her, with her own free will, of course, because she's her own person.
Absolutely.
To that. But, I get that feeling that we choose our parents.
Me too.
I really do. And, so that's interesting what you're doing. And do you think you're only gonna? Well, are you very much go with the flow? Would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
So you really, I was going to ask you there, where do you see your work going? But I think probably maybe right now it's better just to flow with it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been loving touring. I've been touring up and down the West Coast, LA, Seattle, Portland, and I'm just going to continue to move around the country. And it's just amazing to meet new people.
I bet
Get them in a circle and teach them to breathe and see their hearts open. And I almost feel like I must have been some kind of preacher or like I don't know, gospel preacher in a past life, because when I get in front of a group and I start talking about spirituality, there's just this like energy that comes through me, and I sound like a preacher. I mean, it's kind of wild.
Well, who knows? I mean, if you can see that pattern, it may be true. But now you're using some of those talents for something else, and that's great.
Yeah.
That you can maybe recognize that and see that pattern. That's pretty cool. And you mentioned that, because I want to get into the book as well. You mentioned there, the use of breath, and how does, in your opinion, the breath work, help to heal people?
Well, we're all breathing in kind of a patterned way that's automatic, and the breath is part of this autonomic or automatic part of our nervous system where it just happens. We don't have to pay attention to it. We breathe naturally, and as a result, around different stressors in our lives, we usually restrict our breath or hold our breath a little bit or breathe shallowly, and we do that automatically. We're not aware that we're doing it. It's just a patterned reaction. So our breath is really the reinforcer of the suppressed tension in the body, or the suppressed feelings in our body. So when we all of a sudden bring awareness to the breath, even just bringing awareness to our breath, even right now, when we breathe, we can start to feel more. Just being aware of our breath, like, oh, I'm like more tuned into my internal and external environment, because I'm breathing and I'm feeling life moving through me, the oxygen coursing through my blood, the prana, the power, the vitality moving through my veins. So just becoming aware of our breath gives us this sense of healing, this sense of peace, this sense of expansion.
Yeah.
And then when we use a more specific breath, we can really let go of our thinking and the kind of controlling nature, the autonomic controlling nature of our breath, of our mind. And my daughter's just coming up.
It's okay, don't worry.
And so the mind can just take a break from needing to be in control of how we think and how we perceive. And what happens when the mind kind of fades into the background is the heart, which in many Eastern traditions we say is the seat of the soul, starts to come to the foreground. And what happens is we start to really feel and process anything that we haven't taken the time to feel, which with our mind being in control is a lot. Our mind is trying to avoid any sense of anxiety, any sense of loss, any sense of powerlessness, any sense of stress. So the mind takes a break, we start to breathe, and we start to feel those feelings. And what happens is the heart processes them, because the heart's this big processor of blood and feelings and emotional information. And when we move through the thicker layers of that stuff, and the heart gets clarified, or the heart clarifies some of these blockages, we can start to feel our connection to all things and to one another. And it's this beautiful feeling of family, of oneness, of unity, of purpose. And it's really simple. It's not even really it's kind of, to say spiritual is cliche. It's just, that's the truth. We are one and we are connected, but we're not having that experience because the mind is just judging all the time, and it's in the way. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Thank you for sharing that. And as as you say, spirituality. Well, shall I say, it's just a word, and it doesn't really define the nature of this consciousness that we are, and consciousness is again just a word to define this undefinable part of ourselves. That's the true I am. That's the the trueness behind our thoughts, and and who we to be aware of I am. That's what I'm talking about, that awareness of I am. But again, it's some mystics won't define it, and probably you can't. So I completely agree with you. But would you say there's some things that can't be healed?
Absolutely. I mean, there sometimes is this belief, this belief that we have around healing that says, I said this earlier in the interview, that you can heal anything. And we think, oh, well, I know someone that couldn't heal this or that, and they did all this spiritual work. And so we have to actually look at what healing really is and means. And to me, healing is coming to a place of clarity, a place of peace, a place of acceptance, a place of love within ourselves. And we can have that irregardless of whether our body is healthy or diseased. We can experience a sense of wholeness and satisfaction, because the goal of life is not to live forever. We all have our exit date. It's to get to a place where we can, to be in a place where we can really have gratitude and appreciation for ourselves and each other. So
sure.
So any of us can have this state of healing, and if we are in a state of peace and ease, our nervous system will be more relaxed. Our metabolism will be more efficient. Our immune system will be more in balance. So there is absolutely a physical component to what I'm talking about. And there are instances when someone's disease or illness has progressed to such a point, and there's a severe lack of vitality in the system, that there's just the deficit to overcome that is too great, and the disease will take the body down. So there's a lot of science to how that works, and to me the spiritual emotional part of it is crucial, because if you're treating cancer with chemotherapy, radiation, and radical surgery, and you're just torn up inside emotionally, and you haven't come to a place of acceptance with your life, so your nervous system's tense and et cetera and so on, then your body's chances of recovering from all those interventions are much lower. So
okay, such great points you make. They really are, and they'll resonate with so many people that have got relatives or themselves that may be going through something very similar. But when if you're living in constant pain, that's difficult to get to that space, though, isn't it?
I don't know if everyone. I think every one of us in some arena of our lives will have an experience that is incredibly painful, and the experience will be such that it has this characteristic of feeling trapped, of feeling like there's no way out of it. There's this despair that accompanies it. It's as if we've been sentenced to some kind of horrible, indeterminable amount of time to live in this kind of state. And I think maybe it's not all people, but most people will touch that feeling in life. And it's this kind of this endarkening, this enshrouding of feeling, really separate from hope. And to me, that is the greatest challenge that we can face as a human being. along our growth and healing trajectory. And I'm not trying to say everything that I'm saying is for most human beings, probably all human beings, the most difficult thing to do. But because I've seen so many people heal through these methods, this is why I wrote the book. I'm compelled to share, to say there is hope and there is a way. And we may not be able to see it. Our doctors may not have a way to understand it, but it's really, it's on us to not give up and to keep believing and finding creative ways to alleviate suffering and pain.
Well, the difference is, you have the proof, don't you? The proof is in the pudding with your clients.
Sure.
Most of them have become to live fully normal lives in obviously in conditions that they've come to see you with to begin with, in probably quite bad low points in their lives. But when I mentioned about pain, for example, I've got a friend and she broke her back, and after many months in hospital, many months, she's now in a recovery process, and she, to take the edge off the pain every night, because the painkillers won't do it, she's now on marijuana.
Yeah.
And I mention marijuana because obviously where I'm based in Holland, marijuana is legal, and it is now in parts of the US. And they're finding properties of marijuana that are unbelievable in some respects in the coping with pain that it does for people. Where do you stand on that? Is that an excuse not to go deeper into the emotional issue, or if someone's in pain and it helps them in the evening, should they stop?
I'm in full support of all Western interventions, including like major class 1 drugs, and I'm in support of marijuana. I'm not a purist about healing. I work with plenty of people who are on major narcotics and pain medication, opiates. It's just life. That certain people are going to experience accidents and pain scenarios that, unless you've experienced it, you can't imagine the level of pain that someone like that would be in. And marijuana is, particularly the CBD, the cannabidiol compound, which has no euphoric effect to it, is shown to be incredibly powerful to alleviate pain. And then I've worked with plenty of people where the CBD cuts at it a little bit. And even, I'm just thinking of one of my patients right now who she's very young. She's early 20s and has been in pain for 10 years.
Bloody
10
hell.
years with severe pain. And she's on some of these stronger drugs that I've mentioned. She's a wonderful, beautiful person. And she just lives in this state of stabbing, knife-like pain. It's
bloody hell. Yeah.
It's awful. It's like I just want to. It's like I'm desperate to find some way to support her, and she's a wonderful person. She's deeply soulful and spiritual, and it's like this is the arena where all of her life lessons are.
Oh yes.
Just coming to bear, and she's working through them, and she's feeling things, and we do some breath work, and it helps. The breath work does help alleviate her pain to a very significant degree. And there's just these instances where there isn't a glamorous answer. There isn't like a sexy answer to it. It's just I'm trying to figure it out too. I think sometimes I feel like there's got to be this pill or this miracle thing. It's like, well, I'm learning, and I have plenty of people I work with that I'm like, shit, I don't know what to do. The only thing I know that I can do is be loving and supportive and keep keep exploring and researching and trying things. So.
Well, absolutely. And okay then, so with someone like the patient that you've got with the stabbing pains, for example, or someone that comes to see you with something like that, without, obviously delving into her case personally, but just as an example, right? When you say that, any emotional issues that we've not dealt with, also are a major contribution to illness, as far as you're concerned, and I think you're very right there as well. In that case of this young lady, then, would you take her through trying to figure out what emotional issues have caused that, or would you use your intuitiveness as well to try to tune into that?
Yeah, I mean, I do, and I have, and when I do, what I really get is something one of my mentors teaches, that sometimes our destiny, one's destiny is to die, or one's destiny is to have a disease, and that's it. That's the acceptance of it, and it is about managing the pain, and it is about taking drugs, and it is about surgery, and it's I will bring to bear all the intuitive stuff and alternative stuff, but I'll definitely be bringing to bear, I think it's time for surgery. I think it's time for a stronger drug. So to me, I'm really tuning into what this person needs to heal, and to heal, they might need something, certainly that I can't prescribe.
Right. Now that makes a lot of sense as well, in the sense that when they have gone to someone like yourself, and some have gone as a last point of call because they've tried everything. They think they've tried everything medically, yet when they come to someone like yourself, intuitively, when you say, look, this is probably, as you say, destined for this to happen, that is actually quite a relieving answer in one sense, if that's what you were feeling in that moment, because at least it's acceptance in some form, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a funny thing about acceptance, is that when we don't accept it, it's a form of resistance. So it keeps the problem in its same condition. And we have this sense of, well, if I accept this, that means it's going to be like that forever. And so the irony or the paradox is once we accept it, we create enough space around it for it to change. So acceptance has this kind of two-way street, this double-edged sword in a certain sense. If we think, oh my God, I'm going to condemn myself to this reality, and we go, well, this acceptance is just the first step to healing. And then we actually let it become something new, we let it change, we give it a space to morph into something else.
But I bet you get a lot of people who haven't even got to that stage yet. And
oh, yeah. I mean, my job is to help them get to that place.
Yes.
I mean, I've been healing professionally, doing professional healing work for almost 15 years. And I've had many patients die young. And it's just taught me that, man, this life is short, it's brief, and healing is it's a very dynamic thing. And, helping death to me is, there's a lot of fear around it, something we need to talk about as a culture, as a world, global society, but it can be a really, to me, I think it's probably an amazing journey. It's probably an incredible experience when we get there.
Yeah, you are right there. It most probably is, to go back home and to be made aware of what this is, or maybe you're still making your truth up when you cross over.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows, right? But I bet it is just the process of being in that awareness state again, more a heightened a state of awareness than this is right now. It must be quite incredible. and them seeing you is also part of that journey, in the sense of healing that part of them. Maybe if they have many fears, because you'll be able to dig those fears out and turn them head up and really get to why is that fear there. And then if there is a fear of death, then you'll be able to help them transform it. So as you say, the healing work you do and the healing work we can do on ourselves, it's not just one form of modality, is it? It's so many.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most common healing that you give people, would you say?
I mean, the thing I do the most is acupuncture. It's kind of the doorway into seeing me. There's a lot of acceptance of acupuncture and herbology here in the West Coast, so people come in for that, and then I'm usually using that as a bridge to say, hey, how about let's try some meditation that'll help your anxiety, or some breath work for your stress. And
that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And then they have the tool and they can take it home and
absolutely. And families, right? There's another big one. Maybe you get to probably see people who have had family issues, and they don't realize that in the past, when they've not spoken to a family member for years, maybe, right? Just an example, how much that has an effect on their health long term.
Oh man, I mean, you just open Pandora's box. That's the major one, is anything that's incomplete with mom or dad, or brother and sister, that's unresolved. What we do, we can move across the globe to get away from them, but we end up creating or attracting mom and dads in our bosses and coworkers and friends, and we just magnetize those energies until we can love through them, until we can gain freedom around them, by generating enough love to allow them to exist. So most disease is rooted in unresolved family issues and conflict. Definitely.
Is that right? Maybe. Okay.
Absolutely.
And can that show up in even something as, so if you've got unresolved family issues, could that show up in, because I would have thought maybe it's the heart or the lungs or something. It could be the eyes, couldn't it? It could be the hands. It could be your skin. Do you know what I mean? It could be a number of things. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, the eyes are related to the liver, the skin's related to the lung. I mean, it's all connected to the major organ system, so...
See, that's bloody interesting. So, but what if we were in that situation, and look, it may not be, relationships or family, but I've mentioned that because obviously, Luke, that's the main one, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So, we may be thinking to ourselves, yeah, but hang on a minute, what are these two talking about? I've forgiven my brother, I've forgiven my sister, I've forgiven my mum and dad, or my uncle, whoever it may be, yet I'm still suffering with these health issues, which probably, from listening to what they're saying, it could be related. So what am I doing wrong?
I mean, this is like there's another hidden belief in here, which is, once I've healed my relationship with my father, I'm free. And like, my relationship with my dad is where I've had a lot of healing. And he and I have a wonderful relationship. I love my dad. He's one of my dearest friends. It's very tender. It was definitely not always like that. I write about it in Born to Heal. Like, we've gotten physical fights, FUs, all of it. But in my world, I've attracted, and I still attract, the energy of my father in different facets of it. So, I healed my relationship with my dad, but I'm still healing my relationship with masculine energy, with people who seek to be dominating, domineering, and manipulative. With those kind of energies show up around me. Every 6 months I get a new texture of it, and I can smell it from a mile away. And I've gotten good at working with it, because in my work there's just nonstop. I meet new people every day.
Every day, yeah.
So, we can heal our relationship with our mom and dad, or we can't. But the universe, if we're breathing, we're just going to get. It's all about refinement. So, it's like, how skillful can we become at navigating these energies that, when we're around them, we feel uncomfortable.
God. So hang on. So what we're saying here? Sorry to butt in here because I know we're just nearly out of time, and it's so interesting what you're saying. Are we saying here? Okay, so if I've got an issue with my father, and I don't actually have an issue with my father, but if I did, right, and I've got something that I know is wrong with me health-wise that I know is an issue that to do with that. I just know on a deeper level, right? It could be. Well, I'm willing to give it the chance. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, why is it happening, right? So, are you saying that if we forgive those people, we may not be able to visit them physically because of the problems that may be there? That's just unsolvable because they don't want to sort it out. Maybe we're ready, but they're not.
Sure. Sure.
But then, okay, so we've forgiven them. Well, but that you're saying that that's still not going to get rid of the issue. That that issue may still be flaring up because of it's that emotional thing that was given off with your father is now in a form of someone else. But how do you ever solve it though?
Well, you do solve it. You solve and you heal that piece of it, right? So
okay, right.
I've healed that piece of it, and then it's really like anything. Like if you in Europe, you play football, soccer is the big sport, right? So like you make it to Bundesliga or the Premier League, and then like you keep playing, and you just become better at all the subtleties, right? So the once you make it to the pros, once you heal your relationship with your parent, it's like, wow, I just faced this thing, and I worked it, and like I did it, I graduated. And then you got to get better at it. But the degrees that you're getting better at it are more refined, right? So
I got you. I've got you. It still shows up. It still shows up to test you to say, hang on a minute, you say you've got it. You say you've done it with that, and maybe you have. I'll give it to you again just to make sure.
Yeah. But I'll give it to you in a different way. Like, I'll challenge you in this way. I'll challenge you in that way. And then you master that texture of it, and then that texture of it, and then that texture of it. And, my view is as long as we're alive, it's not that we ever escape the things that we hate. We just get better at interacting with them. So in a way that we're not bothered by it anymore. We can.
Much like
that's the goal.
Yes, of course. That's much like going with the flow in the end, isn't it? When something occurs like that, because you're just so used to it, you know how to handle it. That's right. That's so interesting, actually. Yeah. That's really fascinating. That really is. But what if you really want to help someone that's listening to this right now, maybe, and the other person would just not want to hear what me and you have got to say right now, even though we know it would help them so much, but they're just not ready, and we can't help them if they're not ready, can we?
No, but we can do one thing, and the one thing that we can do is we can generate enough love for ourselves. And I'm from Southern California originally, like surfer, so I have a little bit of like this memory of trying to be cool. And so I used to think self-love was like, even though I've taught it for 10 years, I thought it was kind of stupid. I thought it was kind of nerdy. But I can see now, having gone through my own trials, that when you generate enough love for yourself and enough love for life, that that's all we can do, and it's enough. That love is enough to give people the space and permission when they're ready to, start to heal. And that may not happen anywhere near the timeline that you and I want. Usually it doesn't. But I've seen it so many times. I've seen people who I thought would never heal. And the universe showed me, my own prejudices and my own bigotry around who I think is open and who's not open. And go,
okay.
Wow.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry. Would you say then that they still have to go through? They still have had to go through the process of really, sorting out those emotional issues that they've got, right, for healing to really take place long term. Would you say they've still got to go through that?
Yeah, but I mean, when we talk about sorting out the emotional issues, there are efficient ways to do that, and then there are inefficient ways to do that. And so, why I teach breathwork and meditation is that they help you move through all that emotional work really quickly. And if you don't feel like you need to understand every piece of your past, but you're just willing to let it go, then you can release a lot of pain, quickly, and rather than having to mentally process out every piece. Now, sometimes we need to mentally process it to bring stability to the mind, but if you don't need to understand it, then all you need to do is let it go, and using breath work and meditation can help you do that quickly.
Now
so it's kind of a stylistic thing. Some people I work with, they just want to talk and talk and talk. It's like, okay.
Yeah. No. But if some people listening to this right now disagree with you, to say, you have to mentally think it all, process each one, that's up to them. Whatever works for them.
Yeah.
But let's just say this: you cannot force your ideas on anybody else. Yeah, you're not, nor should no one else listen to this who thinks it should be done one way. You're just giving an example of how it can be done in a quicker effect, because you know why? You've lived the work. That's why you can say it. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm only saying this, right, because there's a lot of people in this arena that have very stuck ideas on this, and it's a bit of a tricky one sometimes. I'm sure you've come across people, all sorts, and much love to them as well. But yeah, I'm all for not creating a shortcut, but there are ways that it doesn't have to be so intense. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, gratitude is a shortcut. You just start to think about what you're grateful for, and you start to feel lighter. You start to feel easier, or start to feel more relaxed in your body. I mean, really, here's the thing. All of us want, at the depth of who we are, whether we're aware of it or not, what each one of us wants is we want love, we want intimacy, we want a sense of connection with each other. And some people might be saying, fuck that, I don't want that. You want that. Everyone wants that. That's what the soul is here to do. So if we can just skip to that, if we can just add love to our experience, then it has this magnetism for this mysterious ingredient that actually causes healing. And that mysterious ingredient is called grace. And grace is this thing that we can't really explain, but when we put ourselves in this place of openness, of acceptance, of love, this third force, this other force shows up and heals us, helps us heal, helps us feel more whole. And the key to attracting grace is love, self-love, love for each other, gratitude. And so my teaching is there's nothing about you, about everyone, about me that needs to change. I don't need to change who I am. All I need to do is add some love to who I am. All I need to do is add some love to my anger and turn it into passion. All I need to do is add love to my fear and turn it into creativity. It's like an athlete. You take the nervousness and the fear and you turn it into more power and speed. We don't have to change who we are. We just need to add some love to who we are, and then that will cause a change. But you can't heal hate with hate. You can't heal fear with fear. The only thing that transforms it is love. Is thinking and speaking kindly to ourselves and to each other, or fiercely if we need to be fierce with one another. Whatever form of love it needs to take for something to move, that's really the skill of healing the different facets of our relationship with our fathers and mothers, is we learn how to love different parts of ourselves and the world. And there's a lot of love that needs to happen
so
right now.
True. Oh God, doesn't it just? I mean, Yes, there's a lot of healing in America and other countries that needs to take place right now as well, and it will do. It will do. I think all these great times right now that we're going through are there for a reason, and these bigger things that we're going through. There's big things going on right now. There's a big shift going on, and I'm sure you see it in your work as well, not just on the TV. What would you say then, very quickly, because we're almost out of time, and I appreciate the extra few minutes you're giving us here. What would you say is the most important message of your work?
The most important message is to never give up, and to, especially when you get pushed into one of those experiences where you feel trapped and you feel stuck and you feel alone and you feel separate, is to, even if you can't find hope, you can't find love, but there's some inkling in you that wants to continue, or maybe even doesn't. Even then, we don't give up. We stay with it. We stick with it. We reach out to a friend. We, go to a meeting. We go to recovery. We go to whatever circle we can find to get some light. Because as long as we're here in one of these bodies, there's hope, and there's an opportunity to heal and to connect with one another. And we need to support one another. We need to support one another and
Absolutely.
create a sense of family.
Absolutely. Well, Luke, it's just been a complete pleasure to have you on. I really appreciate the wisdom that you've shared here right now as well. So I'd just like to say, Luke Adler, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. This has been one of my favorite interviews so far.
Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on all past and upcoming guests on the show via themoreshow.com, and do like us on Facebook for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.